When I reach 1000 subscribers I will be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card away. To enter, like, subscribe and leave a comment below. Posted by u/Brock_Tricycle. My sleazy department head at work would always leave early and stick us with all the work, so I innocently helped him admit to his own dishonesty and a free trip to I Got Fired Town. Trying this again. This is a repost, wording changed. Throwaway account, obviously because I want to avoid using my main. There's a TLDR at the end. I'm a cubicle nobody, just a 9 to 5 drone in a boring company. I'm not even sure what we do, really. I earn straight satisfactory and exceeds expectations on all my performance reviews, so I suppose I'm doing alright, whatever it is I do. Something to do with marketing or sales, but I don't sell anything. Usually, I have to work with lots of pie charts. Clock in at 9, coffee break at 10:30, hour lunch at noon, another break at 3:30, and out the door, and onto the freeway gridlock for the long, boring commute home at 5. I drive a Nissan Sentra, but to make myself feel better sometimes I pretend it's the Batmobile Los Santos Leos Soviet tank. My wife teaches 1st grade, and we have a daughter in preschool. We have an asshole dog who doesn't like me, but that's okay. I still feed him, because he's a dog. What are you supposed to do? One time he bit my hand, and once he came close to biting off my entire penis, when he tricked me into thinking he just wanted to lay his head on my lap. He's got a big mouth. I've seen him eat a hamburger in 2 bites, so my sensible portions manhood will be no problem. Asshole dog. I think I ask for it though. I try to sing, and the dog doesn't like it. I'm a victim of drama of my own creation then. Life wasn't always like this. I used to play drums in a band. We keep talking about getting back together, but the other guys are all married and have kids now too. We are only doing weddings now. My wife Arian's still amazing. She used to dance and prance surrounding her thong and Guns N' Roses G, and we'd do the nightclub scene and screw as quietly as possible on her futon to not wake up her roommate. Now she's a mom and bakes cookies and packs me these sandwiches with notes inside telling me I'm a good dad and husband. That's cool. When I think about what I will be doing 10, 15 years from now, I picture painting a sailboat. Someone else's boat. One time I got pushed off a boat in 6th grade when we were supposed to be watching whales, and our teacher Mrs. Frazier said, "Children, I'm sorry there's no action and this fat kid Tony," he says, "let's make things interesting," and he shoved me into the North Atlantic, or the part of the Atlantic near New Jersey. So okay, now we've established I'm pathetic. At my job we get projects where our team gets assigned something by the department head. It's his or her responsibility to tell us what to do, to delegate, and then he or she is supposed to check up on us like a suit and tie all Ada's power suit bloodhound to make sure we are on the ball. The department head is a troubleshooter, and if any of us starts to slack, the department head is supposed to tighten us out. Mitch was our department head. It used to be Louise, but she had to go and get pregnant and take a 3-month maternity leave thing. Good for her, bad for us, because she was a good department head. One time she hid my friend Ken from accounting in the back with an entire chess set because she accused him of cheating and being a chess shark. He said there's no such thing as a chess shark, it's chess sharp, WTF. At the company Christmas party at Red Lobster, Mitch was just a brown noser to Chuck, the boss who only is boss of the company because his dad Gary used to be the boss from the 1980s until he retired 5 years ago to have fun with his 26-year-old Russian wife. Chuck is a nice guy, but he's about as smart as a piano filled with empty aluminum cans. Chuck has to be a stern disciplinarian, otherwise Gary threatens him all the time in front of us. "If you don't keep this place in line, you little shit, I'm demoting you and taking over again. I don't care if I'm 83, me and Katerina will run this ship and you'll be in the mailroom sorting letters with Pedro and Larry." So Mitch gives us our assignment and he tells me, "Op, I want your pie charts to be delicious by the time I get back," and I'm like, "Get back from what? It's not 5 o'clock. But he says he's going off doing managerial things, and he grabs his Hermes satchel that he's so proud of because he saw it in GQ and takes off. Motherfucker takes off, even though it's only like 3:40 p.m. He looks like he wears makeup. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I wish he'd use a darker foundation because his face and neck look 2 different colors. His eyeshadow does nothing for me. If he switched to a slightly darker shade it would make his eyes so dreamy. Anyway, the rest of the team notices too, but we stick to our projects because we don't want to get into any trouble. Some of us are on thin ice because some narc told ours that people were stealing staplers and pens. My desk at home has 3 staplers from work. But day after day Gary always takes off early and we think where's this Borat looking fuckhead going so early every day that he has to leave us? I'm brave and decide to approach Chuck about it, but Chuck is putting in his office and he doesn't want to see me, and he's happy with Mitch's performance because our team is doing so well. But we are doing well despite Mitch, not because of him. Don't you see that, sir? Get out Tahirop, I'm on a par 3. By the way, I like your tweed jacket, it's very professorial, even though you're dumb as fuck. Okay then. Well, this same pattern occurs over and over again, project after project. I tell Chuck about Mitch leaving early. I get reminded that my IQ is 95 on a good day. Mitch is always our department head, and he always gets a bonus because our projects end up so successful, and he's never around after 3:45 PM. One day after we get another new project I go to Chuck's office before Mitch takes his usual 3:45 sabbatical, and once again say Mitch is leaving early, and just like always Chuck tells me that as long as Mitch's projects do well he doesn't care, and that I remind him of Corky from a 1980s show. Not fair, man. Don't make fun of the mentally disabled to mock the legitimately dumb. Also, he takes at least 5 tries to hit a practice golf ball into his sharper image putting hole. Unathletic fuck. This time, though, he's distracted by looking at a magazine. It says Forbes, but I'm thinking there's gotta be a hustler behind it, and I notice he's got his cell phone on his desk. He turns his head and then excuses himself to his private washroom, I assume to think about how sexy Forbes magazine is, and I borrow his cell phone. Even though it's locked with a pin, I see that the volume has been turned off. His screensaver is of kittens, so we have that in common. I go back to Mitch's desk and stick Chuck's cell phone into Mitch's satchel that he's so proud of, so that he can have a turn borrowing it too. As usual 3:45 comes, and Mitch is like, yo, I'm Mitch, bye bitches, and he leaves. About a half hour later, Chuck is going around desk to desk looking guilty, like he farted in an elevator. He does like 3 laps looking, and then he finally starts asking people if we've seen his cell phone. I tell him no when he gets to me, and we have this knowing look between us, like he knows that I know he was rubbing one out in his bathroom earlier. Right around 4:30 Mitch comes running back into the office and right smack into Chuck. Chuck is like, where the hell have you been, Mitch? And Mitch kind of tries to look past him, like he wants to get into Chuck's office. Chuck says, I knew it, you stole my phone. And Mitch says, no I didn't, someone planted it on me. And Chuck says, bullshit, and why are you gone anyway? What do you know? I don't know anything. What are you talking about? Don't act like you aren't spying. What did she tell you? Who's she? What do you mean? At this point Chuck's dad Gary comes in wearing casual clothes and looking like he just got a blowjob and says, Chuck, that's it. You can't have your girlfriend calling me asking where you are. What will Mary think? What will your kids think? And all of us in the office are so entertained, even more so than the time where we were wondering who is stealing stuff from the employee refrigerator, and Vanessa from another department started putting lipstick all over some of her bottles of juice and other things, and Mitch was walking around looking like a thief who wore lipstick. But this is even worse than that time. Chuck apologizes to his dad. This is really something they should be doing in his putting and jack off office, but for some reason they're doing it in front of 25 employees in their cubicles. Gary yells at Mitch and says, boy, you won't get a dime out of me trying to blackmail my son, you're fired. Mitch says, you can't fire me for blackmail, I wasn't trying to blackmail. I'll sue for wrongful termination. Then I feel like, hey, my grandfather fought in Vietnam and got shot in the thigh and has a silver star. Maybe I can be heroic too. So I stood up and yelled, fire him for leaving an hour and a half early every day. I felt something like those who stormed Normandy or fought at Gettysburg must have felt. In my hush puppies and $90 men's warehouse suit. And Chuck picks up on it and says, yeah, this curly-haired Herms Mussfuck is hereby terminated for abandonment of duty. Get your ass to HR. And Mitch disappears muttering something about how we haven't heard the last of him. He will get us all, yeah. According to HR, Mitch had a girlfriend he was going out to bang, and that's why he left early every day. Chuck wasn't exactly fired, but Gary got back to leading the company mostly. Sometimes his hot wife would come in with her yoga pants and implants and be like, hey losers, I'm the future owner of half of all this. And I'm thinking, half of this dysfunctional train wreck of a company doesn't seem like that much. I can't believe I got revenge on Mitch just by borrowing someone else's cell phone and loaning it to him. I can't help but think I'm partially responsible for his downfall. I was hoping that maybe I could take over Mitch's job, but then Louise came back from maternity leave looking way skinnier and full of energy, and I'm like, oh fuck, I can't compete with competence. All I have is my marketing degree that I kind of cheated my way to get, and even then I only had a 2.5 GPA, so everything worked out as it should. I don't even know what my job is exactly. Gary once threw a golf ball at my head. He says it was an accident and he was aiming for the flower pot, but I think that's a lie because there's no flower pot next to me, that's a water cooler. Mitch's wife left him for some 5 feet 3 inches Indonesian guy she met on a yoga retreat. I learned that by lurking on Facebook. That's gotta sting. I wonder if Mitch is going to turn into a psycho and shoot up the office. I'm prepared because I have mace in my desk. Mace or Twinkies. One of those. My band has a gig 3 weeks from now. Not for money, but we get wedding food and cake and publicity. Yay. Note from Arian today. I love you, Tommy. I love you too, honey. You and Sissy and even our asshole dog Roma. TL. DR. My department manager Mitch would make us do all this work that he was supposed to supervise, but he would leave early every day to cheat on his wife and let us fend for ourselves. I borrowed my boss Chuck's cell phone and snuck it in Mitch's Merce so that Mitch would have to come back later and give it back to Chuck. Chuck and Mitch argued about who was the bigger jackoff until Gary, Chuck's dad, fired Mitch and demoted his son Chuck to managing the mail room to work with Larry and Pedro. When I reach 1,000 subscribers I will be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card away. To enter, like, subscribe and leave a comment below.